Gemma Tipton, writing in last weekend Irish Times, told the story of a striking new exhibition in London that makes room for migrant stories from the past. In this exhibition, each room is curated around the stories of people, individuals and families whose lives have been woven together to create characters representing those who have come over the decades to make London their home. The Irish Room tells the story of Kathleen and Jack, who managed to rent an upstairs room in a house with a shared bathroom. In Kathleen and Jack's room, there's a photograph of the Pope, and Jack's Hurley leans against the wardrobe. The exhibition, called Rooms Through Time, is a permanent installation in London's Museum of the Home. The museum's creative director argues these are intimate spaces that tell big stories. Jack and Kathleen's room and story tells us that radio, newspapers, dance halls, and church form the scaffolding of their lives. Interestingly, on Kathleen and Jack's bedside locker rests a rosary bead and a scapular of the Sacred Heart. The Pharisees are presented in Mark's Gospel this weekend as angry with Jesus' disciples for not following the eating rituals that elders traditionally demanded. The Pharisees were rooted in the Torah, the first 5 books of the Hebrew Bible, which outlines 2 great commands: love your neighbor as yourself, and the stranger living among you must be treated as your native born. Love him as yourself, for you were strangers in Egypt. Rabbi Jonathan Sacks argues that Judaism was the first civilization to put love at the heart of morality. As Harry Redner puts in Ethical Life, morality is the ethic of love. Almost every ethical system ever devised has sought to reduce the moral life to a single principle or perspective. Some connected to reason, others to emotion, yet others to consequences. Judaism contains not 1 but 3 perspectives. These are the prophetic, wisdom, and priestly perspectives. Prophetic morality looks at the quality of relationships within a society. The prophets did not make the demand that people love one another. That was beyond their remit. Society requires justice, not love. The wisdom voice looks at character and consequence. The priests focused on the relationship between the people and God. Their sphere was the tabernacle or temple. They lived at the epicenter of the divine presence. The priests supervised ritual, and the prophets spoke about ethics. One group was concerned with holiness, the other with virtue. Jesus in Mark's Gospel wades into the controversy between the Pharisees and his disciples, but in a way that neither rejects the elders or the Hebrew scriptures. Jesus asserts that it is moral impurity that defies a person, not ritual impurity. What we learn from the scriptures is that an ethic of holiness tells us that every human being is made in the image and likeness of God. God made each of us in love. Therefore, if we seek to imitate God, we too must love humanity, and not in the abstract, but in the concrete form of the neighbor and the stranger. At a time of protest, agitation, misinformation, and manufactured mistrust against migrants all over the world, I am certain that a visit to Rooms Through Time would be an intriguing and learning experience. The presence of a rosary bead on Jack and Kathleen's bedside locker suggests a longing for holiness. Kathleen worked in what was the newly established National Health Service, and Jack worked in the construction sector. At a time of health crisis and the need for family homes for the next generation, an ethic of holiness cries out for quality healthcare for all, as well as the construction of new family homes. The scriptures teach us that holiness is based on the vision of creation as God's work of love. This vision sees all human beings, ourselves, our neighbor, and the stranger as in the image of God. And that is why we are to love our neighbor and the stranger as ourself. An ethic of holiness tells us that morality and ecology are closely related. They are both about creation, about the world as God's work and humanity as God's image. The natural universe and humanity were both created by God, and we are charged to protect the first and love the second. Amen.